Good afternoon, everyone. I am Councilmember Robin Wansley. I represent Ward 2 on the Minneapolis City Council, and I'm also the City Council's minority leader for the Democratic Socialists. We are now on day 63 of ICE's occupation of Minneapolis, and this occupation is causing a significant amount of trauma in our communities, and it's also causing what is going to be a looming eviction crisis. And for thousands of residents, simply leaving their homes to go to work has meant facing the risk of being abducted or facing harassment or violence by ICE agents in our communities. And no family should have to choose between keeping a roof over their heads or leaving their homes to go to work and risk being abducted by ICE. But this is the reality for many of our families who have lost income because of the federal occupation in Minneapolis and are thus in need of rental assistance. We're here at Millennium Management because they are one of the largest evictions or the evictors in our city. And landlords like Millennium will be filing many more evictions in the coming months because of the impacts of ICE's occupation, unless elected leaders at all levels of government take action to protect our residents. And a few weeks ago, I led the Minneapolis City Council to pass a unanimous resolution calling on Governor Walz to declare an eviction moratorium. And those actions were also followed by other cities passing resolutions such as St. Paul, Roseville, and I believe Minneapolis Park Board and Recreation will also be taking up a resolution today, echoing the same sentiments and urging that call to continue going forward. But that said, Governor Walz has not declared that eviction moratorium, and he is the only one with the authority to do so and make sure that no family is evicted because of ICE. But we know Minneapolis renters cannot wait for Governor Walz to take action, and we can't risk thousands of families being evicted. So council members have worked with the community on two measures to pause evictions and save lives. We are working to allocate $1 million to Hennepin County for rental assistance to make sure that families impacted by Metro Surge receive the assistance that they need to stay housed. We are also proposing an ordinance called Pause Eviction, Save Lives, which will extend the timeline on evictions to give families more time to access rental assistance. Currently, if a landlord plans to file an eviction due to misrent, they have 30 days right now to notify a family prior to filing that eviction. But under Pause Eviction Save Lives, we would temporarily increase the required notice for 30 days, from 30 days to 60 days. And this gives families the time that they need to acquire the funds to ensure that their rents can be paid and avoid having an eviction filed altogether. And this 60-day requirement will be in effect until July 31st, unless the City Council passes legislation that would either extend it longer or end it altogether. That said, residents are putting their lives on the line every single day to help protect one another. We see many of them using GoFundMe to raise tens of thousands of dollars to also help with rental assistance to keep their neighbors housed. But we will not GoFundMe our way out of an eviction crisis. And it's incredibly disappointing that Governor Walz has failed to use his authority to also protect renters from eviction due to ICE. He still has the ability to declare an eviction moratorium today. But in the meantime, Minneapolis City Council is doing everything that we can and using all the tools that we have to protect residents from ICE and from evictions caused by Operation Metro Surge. We will have the opportunity to vote on both items tomorrow at the Minneapolis full City Council meeting that starts at 9:30, and we hope this could be a unanimous action supported by our colleagues as well as by Mayor Fry, who has spent a great deal doing a media tour talking about the tremendous levels of just courage and organizing happening on the ground to protect our residents. This is an opportunity for his administration to match the same courage that our residents are demonstrating every single day to make sure that our residents are not further traumatized and thus also losing their housing and displaced because of ICE. That said, I would like to invite up first Councilmember Soren Stevenson, who is also a co-author on both of these measures.
Yeah, thank you. Soren Stevenson, City Council in Ward 8, South Central Minneapolis. I don't need a ton of time to say this, but my constituents have been very clear. Do something. Do something right now. What are you going to do? And the reason that they're so clear about that is because my constituents are doing the most. They are out here patrolling our schools. They are out here standing on their block with whistles outside of churches, outside of community centers. My constituents, our constituents, the people of Minneapolis, they are doing everything in their power to protect their neighbors, and it's time that their government step up and do the same. So what this is this is a temporary measure to allow community to do the work that it's already doing. Community, as you heard, is raising the money. I just talked with the deacon of a church in my ward today, who that church has raised a significant amount of money, and they're having trouble getting it out the door. They need time. So we, as Minneapolis City Council, we need to give them the time to get the money out the door to help our neighbors, and this is how we can do it. So this is just one step among multiple eviction moratorium resolution, rent relief coming from the city. This is another step of us saying, hey, community, we have your back. We are going to do something while you're doing everything else. So this is us responding directly to our constituents and constituents of everyone who represents Minneapolis. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Stevenson. Next, we have Lucid Thomas from the Twin Cities Tenant.
Hello, my name is Lucid. I have worked in housing for over 3 years, and I currently see the Housing Justice Program at the Eastside Freedom Library. But most of all, I come to you as a tenant of St. Paul today. So I grew up 4 hours north of here in Moorhead, and whenever we would visit the cities, I just had this sense that I wanted to live here someday. And 4 years ago, that dream came true, and I moved into the West Side neighborhood in St. Paul. And I'm very lucky I've gotten to stay there ever since. Now I work on the East Side in St. Paul, and both of these St. Paul neighborhoods are beautiful, with wonderful businesses, gardens, and most of all, the people. And that's because of immigrants. From the history to the present, immigrants are what make Twin Cities so wonderful and what made them the place I wanted to move to. And ICE wishes to destroy that. Since November, they've been terrorizing our streets. The amazing businesses that I love, that add so much richness to our community, are guarding their doors, closing early, or shutting down altogether. Entire families are staying home. They're fearful to so much as step on the sidewalk, or they'll have an agent drag them away. And it doesn't matter if you're a citizen. 1 week ago, a pregnant woman who was born in Edina was taken off the street right across from my work. She was released later that day, thankfully, but the fear remains in the air. Rental assistance is stemming the bleeding, but we need action. I fear more of my beloved neighbors will be taken if we do not act now. The best time to enact an eviction moratorium would have been on December 2nd, as soon as Operation Metro Surge began. The second best time would have been January 1st, when rent was due for the first time during an occupation. The third best time would have been 4 days ago, when rent was due for February. Governor Walz, it is not too late to do the right thing, to protect our community throughout Minnesota. Landlords have made it clear they do not care about the terror in our streets. Minneapolis Public Housing Authority, Dominium, St. Paul Public Housing Agency, and Aon have filed a total of 97 evictions during this violent occupation. The economic crisis enveloping our families is about more than just rent. Kids are going hungry who need food. Kids who are sick need medicine. Families are having to make devastating trade-offs that no one should have to make. Without a moratorium, already vulnerable families will be made more vulnerable. Stopping evictions will literally save lives. Last Friday, I had the honor of standing alongside my fellow renters and tenant organizers and announcing a Twin Cities tenant union. We did that because people can make real change in their lives, and when we stand together and use our collective voice to demand change, we find the protections we deserve. Also, last week, our fellow tenants at Kansas City Tenants ended a successful rent strike, winning rent cuts and eviction dismissals. That is real people power. If our public officials do not act, rest assured, we will continue to do what it takes to protect each other. Stay strong and stay safe. Solidarity.
Thank you, Lucid. Next, we have Becca Dryden from Minneapolis Families for Public Schools.
Hi, my name is Becca Dryden. I'm a mom of elementary schoolers and a parent organizer with Minneapolis Families for Public Schools. Today, we are asking the Minneapolis City Council to use its power to keep families in their homes. A few days ago, rent was due for families across the city, and many of those families are unable to pay rent because we are under a violent occupation by federal agents, making it unsafe for many families to leave their homes. As parents and as Minnesotans, we have a moral responsibility to protect the children of this state. The city must delay evictions to protect vulnerable renters, many of whom are children. We are urging the City Council to pause evictions and save lives. Federal agents are terrorizing our community. In our schools, we have seen the impact of this with students across the district learning virtually while their families shelter in place. The fear is real and ever present in our community. Fear of driving their child to school and being stopped along the way, ripped out of their car and shipped off to Texas within hours. Fear of having their own child used as bait on their way home from school. Fear of not being able to feed their children after losing the family's breadwinner. Fear of the mental health ramifications of their children being isolated from their school community and experiencing the trauma of this occupation. Fear of losing their jobs as businesses close. Fear of being evicted and losing the only safety they currently have to offer their family, a safe and warm home. Over the past week, we have been overwhelmed with the need for rent relief, exchanging messages with parents and educators at all hours as we scramble to figure out how to keep our community members, our kids, in safe homes. This occupation has been going on for well over a month, and we have vulnerable families who are now 2 months behind on rent with no reprieve in sight. Schools are the anchors of our communities, tethering us to one another in our common goal of taking care of our kids. That's why parent organizers with Minneapolis Families for Public Schools in 51 schools across the district have been fiercely organizing alongside educators and our neighbors to provide mutual aid for our MPS families impacted by this federal occupation. MFPS has trained over 950 people in a sanctuary school model of protection and mutual aid. And of the schools we've gathered data from, which to be clear is not all of them yet, we have recorded over $1 million in funds raised by our communities. This is money coming purely from the people. Our community has done so much to meet the need, but let us be clear. This burden cannot be placed solely on our already depleted community. We need elected officials at every level of government to step up and follow our lead by doing everything in their power to care for Minneapolis and Minnesota families who are living in fear and facing eviction. We have seen over the past month that Minnesotans are more than willing to rise to the challenge and care for one another fiercely. We're calling on state and local elected officials to follow our lead. Keep our families in their homes. Pause evictions and save lives. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, we have Shayna Tamanis. I'm struggling today with last names. Sorry, you all, from the Housing Justice Center.
Today at the Housing Justice Center stands with renters, community advocates, and city council members in strong support of the proposed Pause Evictions Save Lives Ordinance and emergency rental assistance funding allocation. Right now, many Minneapolis families are facing eviction, not because they failed to meet their obligations, but because they fear federal immigration enforcement and that it has made it unsafe or impossible to go to work, care for their families, or access basic resources. Legal service organizations have already seen a massive influx in requests for assistance. The Pause Evictions Save Lives Ordinance is a narrowly tailored, temporary measure that gives families time to stabilize, time to find rental assistance, and time to avoid the devastating and long-standing consequences of an eviction filing. Extending the pre-eviction filing notice period from 30 to 60 days recognizes a basic reality. The rental assistant isn't coming tomorrow. It takes time to get it out the door. The modest pause will prevent evictions, reduce homelessness, and protect both tenants and landlords. Emergency rental assistance funding is the necessary companion to this policy. Families cannot make up for lost income caused by workplace closures, reduced hours, or the detention of a breadwinner in their family. Without support, these families will be displaced. We need to prevent a wave of evictions over winter. From decades of experience representing tenants across Minnesota, the Housing Justice Center knows that eviction isn't just a legal process. It's a leading driver of homelessness, family instability, and long-term economic harm. Preventing eviction is always more effective, more humane, and cost-effective than waiting to rehouse families. We ask that the City Council act with urgency and compassion by adopting these measures. In moments of crisis, local leadership matters. By pausing evictions and investing in rental assistance, Minneapolis can protect its residents, uphold basic human dignity, and reaffirm that Minneapolis stands with its neighbors. The Housing Justice Center proudly supports these measures and stands ready to work alongside the city, community partners, and impacted residents to keep our Minnesotans housed.
Thank you so much, Shayna. That was our last speaker and open for questions.
Just one sec here. It's dying.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, I have a question. You're fine? Anyone else have a question? Councilmember Wansley, I want to go back, ICE-related question here, but going back to the vote yesterday, related to the liquor license, not renewing them. It's getting a lot of talk right now. Can you explain the justification on that? And what does the liquor license have to do with whether ICE agents stay at a hotel or not?
Yeah. So for clarity, council did not deny liquor licenses. We paused and extended a delay for consideration of those until February 17th, in which we will have a public comment to talk further and also work with our staff to learn around what other things we can explore to make sure that these hotels are places of safety, not just for their customers, but for the communities in which they're inhabiting.
But it feels like some businesses are being targeted then or penalized potentially.
There's no evidence to speak to that. What council took action on was postponing those to February 17th, but today and what we voted on yesterday was around rental assistance, moving that forward for a final vote tomorrow, and then introducing pause evictions and save lives.
So the pause on the liquor license, they can still serve liquor.
Yes.
It's until action.
Yeah, there has been nothing that has changed.
Okay.
There has only been a postponement.
Oh, okay.
Any questions related to the actions we spoke about today?
Tomorrow, they say tomorrow council will take some form of action.
We will be taking action on 2 items. We will be taking a vote to approve $1 million in funding to go to Hennepin County for emergency rental assistance to those impacted by Operation Metro Surge. And we'll take a vote to start the process for ultimately passage of pause eviction save lives, which will extend the pre-eviction valid notice from 30 days to 60 days temporarily. All right. Well, thank you all. Bye.